This is going to put together two things that we have talked about recently, one being integers or positive slash negative whole numbers and exponents. And this I don't really think should be all that difficult, but it's something that if you don't see the notation, it might be confusing to you. So here's something you would have seen before, 2 to the 5th power, which would just be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. There's a lot of ways to put this together. I usually go like this and that, and then 4 times 4 is 16, and then I've used these 2's, I've used these 2's, so all I have left is that times 2, so it's 32. That's something you would have known already. Now, up here, you'll notice these two problems with the 2 being negative, sort of. This is a really easy one to misinterpret. If you see it like this, where you have the number, and then you have the exponent, and then you have this, what it looks to be a negative sign out in front of it, it's really actually doing 2 to the 5th power, and then this is indicating the opposite of whatever you get for your answer. So what I would do for this problem is I would do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, I got 32, and then this is telling me, well, what's the opposite of what I got? The opposite of what I've got is negative 32. So the answer to this would be negative 32. Now on this one, since this is in these parentheses, we're actually using the number negative 2. And this is confusing. You'll see what I mean, what the difference is. Here it's actually taking the number negative 2 and multiplying it together 5 times. So negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So then I could kind of go about this the same way, or I'll circle these a different way to do it. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Positive 4 times positive 4 is 16. And 16 times negative 2, which is what we had left here, is negative 32. So that also got us an answer of negative 32, but we got there a little bit differently. So understand that this is just kind of regular of what you've done before. This is actually taking 2 to the 5th power, but then whatever you get, it would be the opposite of that. And then this is actually taking the number negative 2 to the 5th power. So we'll try one more, and then I'll have you do one on your own here. So we got 3 to the 4th power. So again, this one would be what you've already seen before, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So here we've got 9, here we've got 9, so that's going to be 81. Here we've got also 3 to the 4th power, but whatever we get, it's going to be the opposite of that. So actually, I basically already did the problem here, 3 to the 4th power, and then I need to do the opposite of what I got. Since I got 81, the opposite of 81 would be negative 81. Here you're taking this entire number, negative 3, to the 4th power. So negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. So here we've got negative 3 times negative 3, which would be a positive 9. Negative 3 times negative 3, which would be another positive 9. Positive 9 times positive 9 would be 81. That's the answer to that one. So again, what you've seen before, this is actually exactly what you've seen before, but you are taking the opposite of the answer you get. And here is taking this entire number, negative 3, to the 4th power. So here's the one I want you to pause and try on your own here. And again, same type of deal. We've got the one you've seen before. We've got the one where it's 4 to the 6th power, but then you're doing the opposite at the end. And then it's the number negative 4 to the 6th power. So pause this, give it a try, and then come back and see how you did. Let's revisit this and see how you did. So I've got 4 to the 6th power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So I've got my 16 here. I've got my 16 here. And I've got my 16 here. And actually, I think for time's sake here, I think I'll get my calculator out for this one just to make sure I give you the right answer. 16 times 16. That's going to be 256, and 256 times 16, 4,096 is the answer to this question. So now we go over here And I don't really need to do it again because this problem is the same as this one, only at the end we're doing the opposite of what we get. So the opposite of 4,096 would be negative 4,096. This problem is going to work kind of the same way, except for we're going to use negative 4 for our numbers. Negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. I'll put this one at the front. Two negatives equal positive when you multiply, so that's 16. Same thing, two negatives equal a positive, so that's 16. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. 16 times 16, we already figured out over here, was 256. 256 times 16, 4,096. That's really all there is to it. Now, one thing I will mention is there is a way to figure out, like if you have a problem like this, whether your answer will be positive or negative at the end before you even start the problem. But that's something I'll kind of let you ponder a little bit. I don't want to come out and say exactly what it is. Remember, if you are confused with this, make sure that you're asking questions.